Hi, I'm Chris Sachs. I'm the Vice President of Client Success at SEO Clarity. And today I'm really excited because we have a chance to sit down and talk with Jeff Davis, a SEO veteran who's been at the game for some time now. Welcome, Jeff. It's great to chat with you.
Hi, Chris. It's really great. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess to get started, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm originally from the East Coast and came out to San Francisco to start a professional cooking career. And when I started that, I it was a tough lifestyle, and so I had to make a career change and started moving towards SEO. Back in 2004, I began my SEO career learning about search and PPC, and worked for a few small companies running their search program, and then eventually moved over to Williams Sonoma, where I led SEO and e-marketing for the Williams Sonoma brand.
Hmm.
And then 6 years ago, I joined Intuit and have been there managing the QuickBooks program and the SEO channel, which has been a really great experience for me.
That's awesome. I talking to so many different SEOs over the years. There's so many different backgrounds. We have rock stars that moved into SEO. You're the first chef, I think, that I've talked to. And look, you went to Williams Sonoma, so it's like you still tied in the culinary to make it
Uh,
work to kick things off.
Absolutely, it was almost a dream job because I was able to mix my love for cooking with my work, and so that was a really fantastic transition, and I loved
Yeah,
working there.
that's awesome. I love people. I love asking SEOs where they where they got started. So with that, I know now I've been following you for some time, and we've had a chance to work together for several years now. And I know you've had a lot of great success in your SEO career, and you've helped a couple of big enterprises with their program as well. So um, I'd love for you maybe just to tell us a little bit. So you transitioned into SEO at Williams Sonoma, but maybe tell us a little bit about how you really got started in the whole SEO game.
Well, initially I started in search and in PPC, and I self-taught myself how to run with Google AdWords. But I kept drifting over to the SEO team at a small company, and was really more interested in that because it was about the website experience, about the user experience, and creating really lasting change for the online business rather than PPC, which is you turn it off and all of your work is gone. And so I really liked the longevity of that, and so started to learn SEO and being groomed for that. And it really was where my passion laid. I love the mix of technical and creative work that it takes, and also the amount of testing that happens, and being rewarded for those tests. So it really fit my personal style.
So something I always like to ask because I feel like maybe twice a year SEOs have to develop new skills. We have to learn new things. There's always something new to take on when it comes to managing our site and making sure that it maintains good rankings. So if you could think back earlier when you first got started, what would be a skill that you wish you had learned then that would have been really valuable to really help you progress?
Yeah, you're right. Reinventing yourself every few years for SEO is important, and it's necessary, right? SEO is always changing, and I think because of that, people who are starting out in SEO can, within a few years, they could be at a similar level as some of the people who've been in the game for a long time, just because SEO is changing so often. And there aren't a lot of great books to read and to learn about. It's about going online, reading articles and everything that's new. And in fact, even when we're doing work that's that we're trying to have a big change and we're trying to take risks. I mean, we can't find information on SEO sometimes because it hasn't been written yet. So my first piece of advice is to kind of keep up, find the leaders of SEO and follow them in social media or or on articles and things like that, to really get to know what SEO is and how it's changed and how it's evolved, because that is how you stay relevant in such a fast moving pace, or in such a fast moving industry. The other piece of advice is to be patient. is to be patient with the results that you have
Mhm.
or that you're looking to get, and also to kind of educate patients for your clients and your bosses in an enterprise level. The last piece of advice would be to test, test, test.
Mhm.
SEO is evolving so quickly, that that you aren't always sure what will work and what won't.
Right.
But if you're able to test and take some risks, it could pay off big.
I was just mentioning to some people on the team earlier that when I talk to an SEO and they say that they like to test, they're like my favorite SEOs because I couldn't agree more. I mean, testing is so important. And I think it's when you get to that enterprise level, you realize how critical it is. That everything is bigger, decisions seem to be amplified at a much higher level. And I love putting the importance of testing. I think that's really great. And that's all great advice. I also like the advice around the continuous learning. And I think the SEOs that we have seen that have a lot of great experience and have had a lot of success always talk about continuous learning. So I think that's awesome advice for anybody, for sure.
Yeah, and especially as SEO gets more complicated and more ingrained in everything that's happening on the website and through a business, it's getting less obvious and much harder to perform really great SEO. And so it's critical that you keep testing to find out what what it
Yeah,
is that's going to move the needle for your business, because SEO is not the same for every website or every company, right? It's very kind of unique or specialized or personalized even for your business.
that's so true. So let me think. Most SEOs they often they don't always think about their achievements. They're thinking about the fires that they've put out or the problems they've just overcome. But if you could highlight or think about in your career, or even recently, an achievement that you really love to highlight, what would that be?
Sure. Um, through that testing that we were talking about, you can find a little nugget and have really great success. And when I was at Williams Sonoma, we did just that. It wasn't hard, but it was very impactful. And so Williams Sonoma is obviously a very big registry company. So that when people get married, they want people to go and sign up and add things to their wedding registry. And our wedding registry was not part of the SERPs, and it was because you had to fill a form to search for the group for the couple's names in order to find those pages, and so they were never getting crawled, and so we added those to our sitemaps and got them all indexed, and within a few months we had earned an incremental hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue, because we were exposing these super high converting pages,
Mhm.
and really able to drive the business and increase discoverability for all of those pages.
That's awesome.
Um, so that was a great one. And then
Yeah.
another huge project that we did which was much higher lift, and was our site consolidation that we did on our QuickBooks site.
Mhm.
When we re-architected our site, we got some nice wins by getting site links on more pages at our root directories,
Mhm.
and for our head terms that we were targeting. We were able to really build out all of our SERP listings and get site links for many, many more pages, because we had created deeper, more relevant directories. Um, Not only did we get the site links there and increased our real estate on the SERPs, but we were also able to um, uh, rank for more keywords and at better position, because we were adding the context and of all of the pages that were supporting these directories. So
I'm glad you brought up the site links because it really does emphasize how you really have to think holistically about your visibility in the SERP, right? And expanding real estate is something that I think a lot of companies are obsessing about right now, SEOs, because it's so many times there's all these Google features that are just pushing you down, ranking still performing, still in the first position, but keep scrolling, you'll find me eventually. So, I mean, I think that's a big challenge right now, and I know we've definitely tried to build some features in SEO Clarity to help highlight and identify and overcome some of those challenges. But besides, and I love that you brought up the real estate, but what are maybe some other challenges that you see SEOs facing today?
I think the biggest challenge for SEOs in the enterprise space is around messaging. Leaders are typically looking for a silver bullet for reasons why things are working really well or why they're not. And so it's up to SEO leaders in these big organizations to develop a clear and concise message that that they can understand. We have to talk the language that they appreciate and that motivates them in order to get our message across. Because we, in meetings with lots of leaders, they aren't looking to be educated on SEO. They're looking to have a takeaway and move the conversation forward. And so this is something that um, that takes those soft skills in order to convey your message, because execs don't understand a lot of the SEO technical details that we want to talk about because it's so interesting to us. And so we have to elevate that conversation to get our point across and to help the business.
Yeah, I think that's such great advice because even now, there's been such a heavy emphasis on SEO with a pandemic, and paid advertising has been reduced so much. So there's a lot more attention. And you're right about that silver bullet. It doesn't exist. So I think I totally agree. Being great at evangelizing and educating, so important. That's great advice.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, I have one more question for you, Jeff. And the inquiring minds want to know. So what's the next project? What's the next big thing you're working on?
Yeah, sure. So, we've done a lot of work on our on-page strategy, building out the best page templates that are high converting and have a high click-through rate to get to them. And so now we're really focused on looking at how Google is crawling our site, and understanding the path that they're taking, which pages they think are important, how often they're checking those pages, and how they view our site. And so we're looking at log files to understand that, and then we're taking that information and we're going to continue to improve all of our internal linking. We've used tools like Clarity to do a lot of this work and to understand the relationship between those pages, and are trying to build those relevant connections between each other. When we think about SEO, we don't focus on a single keyword anymore. It's all about relationships, as is much in life, right? And so it's relationships between the pages and the search engine, but it's also relationships between all of the pages on your website. And then when you think about it in an even bigger circle, it's also about those relationships between your website and the rest of the internet. And so we're focusing on those page-to-page relationships and trying to create that context that will help us to support our authority for all of our given topics. So we're looking forward to improving our internal linking to help all of our rankings on.
Awesome. All right, here, pop quiz, real quick. What's more important, a backlink or an internal link?
I'd say a backlink, probably, if you can get it from the right spot.
It's always about link building. It's always about the backlinks, right?
It never ends.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Jeff. It was great talking to Jeff Davis today, and super great veteran, longtime SEO, super knowledgeable, and we're so happy to have a chance to chat with you. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks very much, Chris.